Hello everyone, I hope you had a great day. Today we are looking at some new malicious compliance stories. I hope you enjoy them. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. By subscribing and hitting the notification bell, YouTube will inform you of every new video. And now let's start with the first story, shall we? The first story is called Document Everything. I work as a supervisor at a manufacturing plant, and I was hired for an 8-hour shift as a nighttime supervisor. As soon as I started, they changed it and said they really considered the shift to be from 11 PM to 7:30. So they would need it to be 8.5 hours. I'm salaried, there wasn't much I could do, and it wasn't a big deal, so I said okay. As I get into the groove of working there, I find out that the second shift supervisor is a train wreck. No one would describe him to me, just saying I had to meet him. He leaves an hour or two early from his shift 2 to 3 times a week. Friday nights he leaves the plant at 5:30 and tells them to call him if there are any problems. He calls out at a minimum once a week. It's psychotic. Every time he is out, I come in at around 8 PM to cover the last 3 hours of his shift and my full shift. At least once a week I just do it. I figured the company is going to deal with it, but as time passes they obviously aren't. Structurally, the company is just as bad as him. Infighting, rivalries, backstabbing, all of that, but I stay on nights so I don't see it much. Then Sarah starts as my boss. I actually have 2 bosses, which is how every successful employee works. Sarah is a nightmare. She wants me to work 11 to 11 on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and 11 to 10 on Friday. I dig in my heels, document like crazy, and after a couple of months of harassment, HR actually backs me up and she has to stop. But now Sarah is angry and she sees me leaving at 7:15 one morning after coming in 2 hours early. She sends an email clarifying our time expectations. Second shift train wreck calls in that night, so I come in at 8 and the next morning Sarah sees me leave at 10 after 7. I get an email saying she is coming in early to talk to me. And when she shows up, I'm getting a formal warning for my early departures going into my personnel file. I've never been written up in my life. During the meeting with HR in attendance, she said I'm expected to be there for my 8.5-hour shift. I made sure that the expectation was on record for an 8.5-hour shift, which HR documented. The next week, the second shift supervisor is out for 2 days. After the first day, Sarah asked me the next morning why I didn't come in early as there were problems on his shift. I said I fulfilled my 8.5-hour shift and I'm not responsible for his. They had to hire a contractor at $125 an hour to cover all of his missed time, which amounted to 19 weeks this past year. Eventually, they hired a fourth supervisor at $85K per year to cover his gaps. Sarah got demoted and I only ever work 8.5 hours. The next story is called Get All Your Stuff Out. My ex-wife and I split because she cheated. So our separation was quite tumultuous. She still hasn't apologized for the act of cheating and still denies it even though I know beyond any reasonable doubt that she did. I was incredibly hurt at the time and I'll admit I wasn't acting my best. But I still tried to treat her fairly. When she left, we agreed that she would take over the payment on our car because she needed it for work. Our other car was totally paid off and I couldn't afford the payment on the one that she drove. But I agreed to leave my name on the loan because her credit didn't qualify. To be honest, I didn't really have an alternative. I told her that she could keep it for as long as she made the payments. And that when she paid it off, I would immediately sign her over the title. But if she started flaking on the payments, I would have the car voluntarily repossessed. I also agreed to give her the washer and dryer on the condition that she takes over the car payments. I had purchased the washer and dryer, but had no use for them because I lived in an apartment at the time. Well, we inevitably got into a disagreement over the parenting of our children. She randomly showed up with the car. She handed me the keys and said, "Have fun figuring out how to make the payments." She knew I couldn't afford them. And then she ended with, "And get all your crap out of my storage unit." We hadn't finished untangling the mess of items in our jointly owned storage unit, but she wanted it done immediately because she was mad. So I did what she asked. I went over that day to get my things out of our storage unit. While I was in there, I saw the washer and dryer sitting in the corner. I immediately remembered that I had only given them to her on the condition that she pays off the car. So I took them. I had absolutely zero need for them at the time, but she had very specifically wanted my crap out of her storage unit. So who was I to argue? She called me a day later, screaming about it, telling me that she had filed a police report. I just laughed, knowing they wouldn't do anything because it was my property. And the story gets even better. As it turns out, she was just angry and actually wanted the car back. Well, the day after she had dropped it off on me, I got into an accident and totaled it. Everyone was okay. So she ended up without a car and I never had to make a single payment on it. The universe wanted to maliciously comply with her demands. The third story is called Hack the School. Many years ago, my oldest child was in junior high. He took a computer class his first year. His teacher was interesting. One parent-teacher night, she announced to all the students and parents that if a child in her class could hack the school filters, nanny, they would get an automatic A for the entire year in the class. She even had this printed up on handouts she gave us parents. My oldest child can be a challenge. I never wanted to be one of his school teachers. He just thinks of the most random things to do and then does them without thinking of consequences. Thankfully, he has mostly grown out of this. I could tell that my son was going to take her up on this offer. He was good enough with computers that I was pretty sure he could do it. So I warned her that the school district did not want students hacking the nanny, especially not my son. Who knows what he would find that I didn't want to know about. Less than 2 weeks later, I'm called up to the school on very little notice. My son was going to be expelled. That was all the info I had before I got to the school. I had a feeling that it was about the computer class, so I brought in the handouts that the teacher gave out on the parent-teacher night. I was right. He hacked the nanny successfully, and because of this the school was going to expel him permanently. I had quite a chat with the principal. He was completely shocked that the teacher had challenged the students this way, but he claimed that it didn't matter because the school had rules that my son should have known. He was flabbergasted when I called the superintendent of schools for our city. He was more shocked when I chatted with him on a first-name basis. It might have been a Karen thing to do, but messing with my kids brings out my mama bear. My son did not get expelled. He didn't get punished in any way. Mostly because the teacher was an absolute idiot. I later learned that this was not the first time she issued this challenge or the first time a student was able to do it. She had been warned not to do it again, ever, and she ignored that. They had a new teacher in under a week. Seems like you are just not smart enough to teach school if you openly challenge kids to hack the school's filters. The last story is called No Service for You, Sorry. This happened yesterday afternoon at my job at a grocery store in Texas. We are all wearing masks, customers and coworkers alike, but we don't truly enforce wearing them if a customer says no. We let them in cause no one wants to deal with retaliations. It honestly can be infuriating since all year I've been trying to do my best to stay safe and help others prevent the spread. So me seeing a customer walk through my area without one looking proud makes me feel powerless since we aren't allowed to ask them to put one on. We were told if we are uncomfortable just either walk away till they leave or just say we aren't feeling safe helping them. So here we start our story. There's a regular we have who claimed to have a medical condition since this whole thing started. For the last few months I've succeeded in avoiding all contact with her, up until yesterday. I was in my department pulling out some merchandise to put up when I saw her browsing my area. So as usual I put my stuff back and stayed away till I thought it was clear. After about 5 minutes I didn't see her. So again I grabbed my card and started working. Shortly after, one of the guys I work with, we should call him Gil, came up to me. Yo, what's up? Hey, a customer had a question about the items on the wall. Around the corner comes the entitled customer. I hold my hand out with a serious look on my face. Sorry, I don't feel comfortable helping you. She asked, sounding very angry. What? What do you mean? You aren't wearing a mask, so I'm not gonna help you. She sounded offended and slightly tragic in her tone. This is crazy. I'm a customer and I have a medical condition. Sorry, I don't care. I don't have to help you. I have people with medical conditions that wear masks. I'm reporting you. What is your name? At this point, I just walked away, while the poor girl looked shocked at what happened. As I was almost gone, I could hear her yelling. She demanded to know who I am and that she was gonna get me in trouble. Funny enough, no one wanted to tell her anything, so it took her a while. At this point, I didn't care, but my god, it felt good seeing how livid this woman got. You could tell that she wasn't used to that. Some of the other co-workers that were nearby went to check on me, thinking I was mad or scared about what was gonna happen. But in fact, it was the opposite. It was like a ball and chain had been removed from my year of wearing it. It was empowering. Apparently though, she got my name through someone who didn't know the situation. But I didn't get in trouble. I was actually told that I was allowed to do what I did, as I was not rude and had every right to do what I did. Gil later told me that when she asked him who I was, he just said I was new and didn't know my name, which made me laugh. The rest of my shift went smoothly, but I was on a mental high for how that moment made me feel. I'm sure she will show up again, but I doubt she will get near me anytime soon. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.